Now, I don't know how many of you actually watched State of the Game, but if you did tune in this week, you'd have basically seen the developers, talk about how great Season 1 and the global events and all the modifiers and all that stuff were. But I gotta be honest, guys, I was not really having that much fun with any of that. I mean, I did think that the 100 ranks for just this season alone was, an alright kind of like bonus to encourage you to play. I mean, just play the way that you normally do, right? But when it came to actually the manhunts, I mean, they were boring. I mean, let's just face it, they were pretty much the exact same things we've been doing since this game launched. And the only real difference in this thing was some of these modifiers to the missions where, let's just face it, you were playing the exact same mission over again, except maybe a little bit faster. And the only actual good change I think that was in the game was just the changes that they made to Roosevelt Island itself. Now, I thought some of the mechanics there were actually kind of interesting, and it actually made the mission a little bit fun. But this actually goes back to something that I was talking about when they talked about the Black Tusk and the invaded missions and all that stuff. Now, I don't know if you were playing the game at that time or, if you actually remember this stuff. But basically what they talked about was how the Black Tusk would come in and they would basically radically change everything in the map or in the missions and all that stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this could actually be pretty cool, if they actually change up the missions, redo the design a little bit, maybe change the pathways a little bit. That kind of stuff could be fun. What we ended up really getting was basically they just put Black Tusk in the mission, and that was probably it for 99% of the stuff. Some things had a little bit of a change, they put in some Black Tusk turrets or they put in the EMP jammers or something. But for the most part, yeah, everything was the exact same, just with Black Tusk and Black Tusk named enemies. Now, while I can't say I was really expecting too much from the seasons, I do have to say that the lack of changes to the actual missions that you're running over and over and over again for these objectives, it wasn't very fun to me. Now, I'm not saying, nobody's going to like it and it's, designed for everyone. I mean, I understand that people probably do like it. People probably do have fun with it. But if you've run these missions, 20, 30, 100 times already, doing it again with somebody, exploding with green stuff from their head or, having to burn X amount of enemies, I mean, yeah, it's not really that interesting, right? At least I don't think it's that interesting for most of us. And the only real reason I actually did most of it was just to get the exotic cache. But pretty much at the end, even the exotic cache didn't matter, and I pretty much ignored the reanimated event just because I didn't want to do it. I really did not feel like jumping through all the hurdles to get headshots on reanimated targets or get headshots on non-reanimated targets or damage, kill, whatever enemies with the actual cloud that you get from shooting enemies in the head. I just, no, I couldn't do it. I mean, I can still play some of these missions and still, have a enjoyable time grinding out some of the gear or trying to figure out builds, but actually playing through some of these things, I could not enjoy it. I just couldn't. Leave something in the comments below, what did you guys actually think, honestly and truly, about, these modifiers, these events, all of this stuff. Did you actually enjoy it? Did you actually get something out of it? Did it really, feel like a good use of recycled content to you? Did you enjoy speedrunning these missions and you're going to enjoy speedrunning them for Season 2 or Season 3? Is this the kind of stuff that you're going to actually look forward to? Or is it kind of more along the situation of just give me the exotic cache, I don't want to actually play this. Just give me the skill because I really don't want to play this. Because, to be honest, to me, I would much rather be actually paying for more DLC. Now I know some of you, are like, I'm not paying more for this terrible game. And that's fine. I completely understand that. But Warlords of New York was actually an enjoyable piece of content. I did enjoy running around the city and, exploring new areas and fighting new enemies and actually just playing the game in a new, refreshing way. And while I'm not exactly happy with the outcome with Keener, and I just kind of felt that was, I don't know, it felt almost like a TV show that was coming to an end and they just kind of rushed it at the very, last minute and just didn't feel good. It really felt like all they were doing was trying to make it feel artificially important. Like, see, this game is so good because you finally did it. And it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like a stretch to me. Just feels like a reach. Like they were just desperate for some idea, and that's the best thing they could come up with. And then obviously now it's like, well, so who is the main enemy? Because it's either a chicken hawk or the tiny little toy dragon has an eye missing. So I don't really know where the story goes from here, if it's even interesting. But at the same time, I do have to say that just the experience of going into New York was more entertaining than just doing these reanimated stuff and doing the burning stuff. What, I don't even remember half of these things because it was just I blocked it out. I didn't have fun going on these manhunts. Well, I don't really enjoy doing the bounties as it is, but doing these manhunt targets for these, you know, rogues that are pretty much the exact same as every other named enemy, you know, it's not interesting. You know, like they didn't add any real flavor to it to actually make it feel like I should be playing this because this is cool, new, exciting content. Now, I'm not trying to be, you know, artificially negative about the game. Like I said, if they come out with DLC that's actually new, exciting content that does new, you know, improved things, that has new features, that has, you know, actual different mechanics in a whole new environment with maybe a couple different types of enemies or, you know, whatever, different circumstances, different situations. Yeah, I mean, even though I'm not really in the highest opinion of the game, I would still pay for actual additions to the game. But playing the same content almost a year later, over and over again, and then having just tiny little reasons why we should like play it again. You know, here's a little carrot, play this stuff 100 times more. I just, it's cringe. That bothers me so much because I really think that when you recycle the content in this form, it's not exactly exciting. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.